All right. Well, thank you for joining us for Up and Moving tonight. If you haven't been with me for one of my workouts before, my name is Isaac, and I'm a grad student in the Kinesiology and Integrative Physiology department at Michigan Tech. And just a little bit about Up and Moving before we get going. Our goal is to provide both virtual and recorded workouts that you can do from home. Our overall goal is to try to keep people physically active and give you an avenue to exercise during the pandemic. So tonight the goal is to do a full body resistance training workout in sort of a circuit format. And so overall layout, we're going to start with about a 5-10 minute warm up. We'll get the body moving, get the joints ready to go. Then we'll go into 4 different resisted or weighted exercises. And I will show you a few different variations for each exercise so you can find the one that kind of fits the appropriate difficulty level for you. We're going to work through 3 sets of each exercise. So I have 3 working sets. The goal is to land somewhere between about 8 and 15 reps, somewhere in there. Now, what we want is each set to be challenging. So that means towards the end of each set, you're slowing down a little bit, the muscles burning, we're causing a little bit of fatigue. That's the goal. So if you make 15 really easy on your first set, you can go to a harder variation, use a little bit of weight. I'll help guide us through that as we go. After we go through those 4 different exercises, 3 sets of each, we'll do a little cool down and we'll get on our ways for the evening. So let's go ahead and we'll jump into a warm up here. A few things too, I suppose, before we start warming up that you may need. I've always got a chair here for stability. So have that ready if you're going to need that. I also have a couple of dumbbells if you have dumbbells at your disposal. If not, you can make some sort of makeshift dumbbells by grabbing a couple of bags and putting some cans of food in there, put water bottles in there, a bag of rice. So that way, basically, you have yourself an improvised dumbbell. And last thing I have, if you're really good at body weight lunges, which we're going to do tonight, you can grab a backpack, throw some weight in it, and then you can put the backpack on to make the lunges a little bit harder. All right, so let's jump into our warm-up. We'll get started here. So first movement we're going to go to in the warm-up is just a high knee. So we're going to be bringing those knees up to your chest. Get those arms swinging. So we'll go through a few different dynamic movements here, meaning that we'll keep moving. We're going to take joints through different ranges of motion, get all the muscles warmed up. We'll get our heart rate up. We'll do each one of the warm-up movements for about 15 or 20 seconds. And by the end of our warm-up, your heart rate should be a little bit higher. Maybe you're starting to sweat a little bit, but ultimately you're feeling ready to then do a little bit heavier exercises when we get into the weight training stuff. Perfect. Get those knees nice and high. All right, we're going to switch into a butt kick. So you're going to be taking that heel, trying to kick yourself in the rear with it. We're firing those hamstrings in the back, getting a little stretch on the quads in the front. Trying to keep my knees right underneath me. Good. And let's go ahead. We'll switch into a Frankenstein kick. So hands out in front. You're going to be kicking your toes up to your fingertips. So try to keep your knees straight. We're going to use this to get a little bit of a stretch on those hamstrings back there. And sort of as you loosen up, you can try to get that foot a little bit higher. So we're going to have 2 lower body exercises today. that will focus on slightly different muscle groups in the lower body. And then we will have 2 upper body exercises, again, focusing on slightly different muscles in the upper body. And after about 3 sets of each of those, you should be feeling pretty good. Perfect. We're going to switch into a side to side lunge. So I've got my feet a little bit wider than shoulder width, and I'm just going to lean to the side, sort of squatting down onto one leg, and then keeping that opposite leg nice and straight, getting a little stretch on that groin. And we're warming up those quads a little bit, putting a little weight on those, a little weight on the knees, and just rocking side to side, not too fast, just to where you feel a little bit of tightness in that leg. Coming back to the top. Good, get a few more of these in. Perfect, let's go with some arm circles. So I'm gonna step from side to side here to keep moving. And I'm gonna start off forward. And we can slowly work on making these bigger and bigger as your shoulders start to loosen up. Eventually we get some nice big circles here. Really trying to use all that range of motion we have in our shoulders. Good, few more. And let's go right into arm swings. So swinging those arms out in front. Think about trying to reach for the walls on the opposite sides. And as you pull those arms back, kind of think about pushing that chest out and pinching your shoulder blades together. Kind of warm us up for a type of rowing movement we're going to do later. Great, and let's go arm circles again, but in the opposite direction that you started with. And we'll try to make these bigger and bigger as we go. Shoulders are getting a little tired. That's what we want. Get those muscles working a little bit. Great, nice job. All right, next we're gonna go into some nice slow body weight squats. So you can get your feet as far apart as is comfortable for you. You can turn your toes to whatever angle you want. And we're just gonna go into some nice slow body weight squats. Just get as low as you can. You can use those arms to sort of give you a little bit of a counterweight by putting those arms out in front. And I will just slowly try to sit a little bit lower every rep that I get. Try to really warm up that range of motion in my knees and my hips. And if you aren't getting in a full squat like this, that's okay. Quarter squat is all right, but try to get a little lower on each one if you can. Perfect. Good, all right, let's do a new movement. We're gonna go with some skater hops. So I'm just jumping from side to side here, swinging my arms, and really thinking about pushing that floor away and getting a little hop as I transfer from foot to foot. So now we're warming up those glutes a little bit. Perfect. Just a couple more movements we're going to do in our warm-up, and then we'll take a quick water break and we'll get into the weight training movements. Perfect. Nice work. All right, we're going to switch into a jumping jack. So you can do a full jumping jack, or modified is just kicking a leg out and bringing those arms up overhead. Either way, And we'll go ahead, we'll try to push the pace here a little bit. Try to make yourself work a little bit harder as we get to the end of our warm-up. I'm gonna go back to regular jumping jacks. If you can hang with my pace, go ahead. If not, go at a pace where your breath is starting to get a little bit harder to catch. Good. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Last movement. We're going into a jog in place. So I'm getting my feet up off the floor, pumping my arms. Good job. We're almost there. Let's increase that pace a little bit. We'll go into a little more of maybe a sprint. Heart rate's getting a little bit higher. We're going to go for 10 more seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. All right, that's a warm-up complete. We'll go ahead and take a little bit of a break. Grab yourself some water. We'll let the heart rate come down just a little bit. But all the joints should be feeling warmed up now. Should be feeling ready to get into the weight training movements. A few deep breaths. All right, while you're continuing to recover your breath a little bit, I'm going to show you what our first exercise is going to be. First exercise is going to be a lunge. So we're going to go into a lower body movement. This one's going to focus a little bit more on the quads in the front of the leg, but we'll get a little bit of glutes involved. So it's just going to be stepping back, getting as low as you can. Now, if you can't get all the way to the floor, that's okay. A partial lunge is great. But if you can get that back knee to the floor, awesome. So we're going to do a set on one leg, and then we're going to switch, do a set on the other leg. All right, so that's the basic movement. Now here's how you can make it a little easier if you need to. Use a chair for support. So here I'm doing that same movement, but I've got my chair for a little balance. Want to make it harder? Just go with a straight lunge, no chair. And then lastly, if you need to make it a lot harder, throw a little extra weight onto your body using a backpack. You can also hold on to dumbbells like this. So there's a lot of ways you can just add weight to this to make it harder. And then lastly, if your lunges are really easy for you, even with your weight, you can kick your foot up and do lunges with your back foot elevated. So it'll look just like this. So more of a split squat. All right, so that's the movement. So find one of those variations that works. And what we're going to do is, again, we're trying to land between 8 and 15 reps on our sets. So let's go ahead, pick a movement, see if you can get 15 on the first one. Here we go. I'm going into my first leg. 2, 3, 4. Nice and slow on the way down. Keeping good control. I come back to standing and then I kick that foot back. Really think about using that front leg. The back leg that you're stepping back with is kind of just there for a little bit of balance and support. We're mostly trying to use the front one. So think about driving that front foot through the floor as you come back to a standing position. Perfect. All right, once you finish that leg, we're going to switch, go right on over to the other leg. And same thing, stepping back, thinking about using mostly that front leg and that front foot. I'm going nice and slow. Think about pushing the knee over the direction of your toes just to make sure that knee is tracking nicely. Good, and no matter what variation you pick, you can always make the exercise a little more challenging or a little bit harder by changing your range of motion. The deeper you go on the lunge, the harder. The shallower you go, the easier. So keep that in mind as we're shooting for our rep targets. Good. Whew. Okay, one set down. So the exercise that we're going to do back to back with this is going to be an upper body exercise. We're going to do a lateral raise. So you're going to be lifting dumbbells off to the side. So it's pretty simple. You're going from the standing position and raising those arms up into a T. So you can use dumbbells if you've got those. Again, like I mentioned before, bags with food in them work really well. Just try to use the same number of cans of soup or water bottles in both bags, so the same weight. And you can do the same thing from here. So raising them off to the side. So go ahead and pick whatever weight you've got available to you. See if you can do 15 on your first set. There's always time to make it harder as we go. You can add weight. So I'm keeping my chest out, and I'm just raising those arms off to the side. I like to keep my hands slightly in front of my body. If you look at me from the side, you can lean over a little bit if it helps your shoulder feel better. If you get me pinching or anything, just lean forward like this. Go ahead and see if you can make 15. So I made 15 pretty easy. So on my next set, I know I want my sets to be challenging, so I'm going to increase my weight so that my reps come down a little bit. All right. Once you finish that setup, let's do a quick water break. And we're going to jump right back into lunges. So I want you to think about your first set. If you made 15 easy, let's make it a little bit harder. You can increase your range of motion, drop deeper, or you can add weight to your body. Maybe get rid of the chair if you were using it. So I'm gonna add a little bit of weight. I'm gonna hold on to some dumbbells because I made 15 really easy on my first one. And I'm gonna see what I can get with this set. All right, here we go. Starting with my left leg. So stepping back and then driving off that front foot. And I just keep these dumbbells hanging on my sides. You could also have a backpack on right now. Do the same thing with a backpack. So once my quad starts to burn, I'm starting to have trouble getting back up. That's what I'm going to call it a set. I want to save about 3 to 5 reps in the tank. So think about that as you're ending your set. Think, how many reps do I have left? If it's 3 to 5, perfect. That's a good place to end your set. Whew. I'm going to shake that leg off real quick. I'm going to go right into the other side. Same thing over here. Going nice and slow. Another little tip, if you're having any knee pain during this exercise, this is a slight variation you can make. Lean your torso forward a little more, like this, and it'll take some of that tension off of the knee and put it on the hip, and you'll feel it a little more in your glute from here, other than staying straight up with your torso like this will hit the knees a little bit harder. Woo, okay. That's a set done there. So let's go right back into lateral raises. If you made 15 really easy on your first set, try to up your weight. So here we go. Raising. I get a little pause at the top once I hit this T position. Nice and slow. I'm not just dropping my weights to my side. I'm letting them down nice and slow. Another thing you can do is think about reaching for the walls on your sides. So you're lifting up and reaching out towards the walls. Lifting and reaching. And you can see I'm not doing not moving my upper body at all. My upper body is staying locked in place and I'm just lifting those arms. Nice and isolated movement. Woo! All right, I did not hit 15 on that one. My weight was a little heavier, so I think I've got a good weight to work with for my last set. Let's take a little break, get some water, catch your breath. We're gonna be going into our last set of these 2 exercises. So we've got one more lunge, one more lateral raise. So if you gotta go heavier, go a little heavier. If you had a really hard time making it to 8 reps on the last set, maybe go a little bit lighter. That's okay too. As long as we're in that 8 to 15 range and your set is challenging, that's what we're looking for. So I am gonna make this last set a little bit harder. I'm gonna throw my backpack on. I've got some rice in here and a couple of books. And I'm gonna elevate my foot. So I'll do it on the chair so you guys can see what it looks like. And let's go into our last set. All right, here we go. So this is the hardest variation if you want to try this for your last one. Those quads should be burning at the end of this one. But keep your form nice and tight. Hips are level. My chest is facing forward. Nice and slow and under control. Good. I'm done with one leg. I'm going to go ahead and switch to the other. Good work. Try to push it through this set. Keep that pace nice and under control. About 3 seconds up, 3 seconds down. Beautiful. Finish strong. Woo. Nice work. We are done with lunges. Let's go right into lateral raises. And we'll finish our last set here. So see how many you can make. We don't have any more lateral raises to do today, so you can burn those shoulders out. Keep your form good. Lift to the sides, a slight pause at the top. Can also use your backpack for these two. If you don't have weights that are heavy enough, just grab your backpack and do one arm at a time. Good. Keep that chest out. Weights under control. Woo. All right, that one burns the shoulders. All right, we made it through the first pair of exercises. Get some water. Whew. We're moving on to a couple of new exercises. So while you're recovering, catching your breath, getting a drink, I'm going to cover our first exercise of this pair. So with this exercise, let me get my chair out of the way. We're going to be doing sort of a hamstring curl on the floor. So what you're going to do, have a seat on the floor, lay on your back. You're going to have your feet out in front of you. What you're going to do is come into a bridge. So I lift my hips off the ground. I've got my knees at about 90 degrees. From here, I'm going to keep my butt off the floor, hands to the sides for support, and I'm going to walk my feet out, just little tiny steps. Just like that. And then I'm going to try to walk them back, again, nice and tiny steps. So where you should feel this is back in the back of your leg and the hamstrings. All right. So the easiest variation is to walk them out nice and slow, get as far as you can, and then just put your butt down and reset. Walk them out nice and slow. So you can't hold it, butt down and reset. If you want to make it harder, walk all the way out and then try to walk back without your butt touching the ground. All right, so those are two ways to do it. So we're going to count every time your feet come out and come back as a rep. All right. This one's a little bit harder. So let's see if we can get somewhere around 8 to 15. That's the goal. If you can't quite make it to 8, that's fine. Just do what you can with this exercise. So let's go ahead and do our first set here. So I'm going to do the easiest variation first. So watch me if you need a recap. Get my butt in the air, butt off the ground. I walk out on my heels, nice and slow. And then I just reset once it gets too hard and I can't stay up. Walk out on my heels. And my hamstrings are burning. Can't keep my butt up anymore, so I'm going to reset. That's 2. And that's 3. That's 4. Think about keeping a straight line from your shoulder to your knee. Your hips should not move. Your hips should stay straight. It's just your knees walking out or your feet walking out. Good. Woo. All right. So we finished that set. Take a little breather. Okay, next exercise. So again, we're going to pair this lower body exercise with an upper body. So we're going to go back to those dumbbells or bags filled with weight again. And there's 2 ways to do this. So what we're going to be doing here is a face pull. So it looks like this. So you're going to hinge at your hips, get bent over, and then you're going to be pulling those dumbbells up to your ears, almost like you're trying to pull it to your face. So it's looking just like this. And what I'm doing is basically making a W with my arms. So this is kind of what your arms should look like at the top. So you're pulling to here, going back down. What you want to do is be bent over so that we're working against gravity here. Right? And so now this is going to use a little bit of your lower back too. So the lower back may get tired. It may be sore tomorrow morning from these. That's okay. It doesn't mean it's hurt. It just means you're using those muscles, which is good because it makes those muscles more resistant to injury in the future. So that's going to be our next exercise. Now you can do those bent over. If you feel like it's too much stress on your back, you can do the same thing but seated. So you can sit down, do this face pull here. So we're really trying to pull the shoulder blades together, push the chest out, and then bring those hands up. Right? So it's shoulder blades together, chest out, drive your hands. All right, let's go into our first working set. So I'm going to do it the hard way, freestanding. So I'm going for 8 to 15. Making a W with those arms. Pull your shoulder blades together, push your chest out. Beautiful. Good. Once you finish that setup, go ahead, take a break. Set those weights off to the side. And we'll get a quick drink. I'm starting to get pretty sweaty here. I don't know about you guys. And we're going to go back into those hamstring exercise on the floor here. So just recap on my butt, my back, hands to the side for balance. I come into a bridge so that I've got a straight line from my knee to my shoulder. And then I'm going to walk out on my heels. Thinking about these hamstrings back here. Keep those hamstrings tight. And I can reset. Walk those heels out nice and slow. Don't rush these. Good. Reset. And walk the heels out. Try to keep your hips level. So your hips should be facing the ceiling the whole time. They shouldn't be tilting side to side. So think about that as you're doing these. Good. If you need to make it more challenging, try to walk those heels back as well. And then you're just keeping constant tension on those hamstrings. Walk it back. Walk it out. Good. Starting to burn for me. I'm feeling my hamstrings. I'm gonna do one more. Whew. That burns. Nice work. Once you finish up that set, another quick break. And let's go into face pulls again. So if you tried them standing the first time and you thought, oh man, my back got tired before anything else, we'll go ahead and have a seat. And again, it's not bad to train your back. It's a good thing. It makes that tissue more resilient to injury. We're not loading it really heavy. But if you do need to take some stress off the back, have a seat and a chair. We can do the same thing from here. So I'm going to go ahead and do my 8 to 15 reps. I got about 12 on my first one, so I'm keeping my weight the same because I think this is a good weight for me. So pull your shoulder blades together, push your chest out as you're pulling the hands up. Good. This should really burn in the back of the shoulders. This is the main target muscle here. Woo, feeling it. So you might feel it right back here, maybe a little bit in the middle of your back too. It's going to work all those muscles. Great. Take a break. And we're going to do one more set of each one of these. And we are done with the weight training component, and we can go to a cool down after this. So we are almost there. Hang in there, everyone. Whew, deep breath. Gonna go back into these hamstring curls. And these are challenging, these are tough. So if you're struggling with these, that is okay. I understand. Just get those heels out as far as you can to where you start to feel it burning in the hamstring. All right, here we go. I'm gonna try to walk out and walk back to make this one a little harder. So let's do it. Last set of these. Really hitting the hammies. Go into my bridge and I walk it out nice and slow, little tiny steps. Getting some tension on my hamstrings, and then I'm gonna walk it back. Keep your butt off the floor. Good. Walk it out. Keep your butt off the floor. Tension on those hamstrings. Get your hands out to your side for balance. Good. Straight line from your shoulder to your knee. Don't let it change. Don't let your hips drop. I think I got one more. Oh, woo. That burns. Nice work. And once you finish, take a quick break for some water. We're gonna go into our last set of face pulls. So I'm gonna go back to doing these standing just so you can see what they look like again. And I think I got 11 on my last set. So we'll see what I can get here. I should be able to at least get 8, but I'm gonna try to push this one a little harder. It's my last set. So I start here, I hinge at my hips so that I'm bent over. You can see I'm trying to keep fairly straight with my back and then coming into those face pulls. So making W's with my arms. Again, I'm pushing my chest out and pulling my shoulder blades back. We're putting a little bit of tension on the lower back. It's got to keep us supported here. Nice and slow, under control. Don't just drop those weights. Control them on the way down. Good, one more for me. Woo, that burns. Beautiful. We've done it. We made it through all the weight training movements. I have to say my shoulders are super tired after the lateral raises and the face pulls. So the shoulder got some good work today. A little bit in the middle of my back from doing face pulls. It's a good mid-back exercise. Legs, definitely my hamstrings feeling it. All right. So we're going to go into a little cool down for a couple minutes here. Get your heart rate back down before we go. So I'm going to go ahead and just have a seat on the floor. Check the chat here really quick. All right. So feet apart. I'll try to get my camera down here. Everybody can see what I'm doing. Feet apart. Take my left hand. I'm going to go down to my right foot. We'll get a little hamstring stretch here. Doesn't have to be painful, just to where that muscle is a little tight and uncomfortable. You can take some deep breaths. And as you're breathing out, just think about relaxing your muscle a little bit more. Good. Let's go ahead, we'll flip to the other side. So right hand is going down to my left foot now. Solid workout. We did a lot in a short amount of time. Little upper body, little lower body. Good. All right, we're gonna go into one more little stretch here before we go. I'm gonna take my right foot and I'm gonna cross it over my left leg. And then I'm gonna take my left arm and come through and kind of turn into this. So I can get my glutes stretched by pushing my leg across my body. And I get a little back stretch here by turning and looking at the wall. And just hold this here for a second and breathe. Good, and let's go ahead and we'll just hit the other side. So I'm left leg over my right leg, and then right arm through. Turning and looking the other direction. Thinking about pushing this knee across my body so I can stretch that glute a little bit. And now I think my heart rate is coming back down. I'm feeling good. Always feels great to finish a workout up. Woo! All right. Give yourself a round. Tough workout. Definitely not an easy one. All right. So thank you for joining us tonight, everybody. And just a couple of things. If you can promote the virtual exercises to any friends, family that you have, go ahead, point them to this resource. It's a great way to get some exercise in, have a nice guided training session right from home. So please share if anybody you know. We also have sorry, I'm reading announcements off of the chat here and trying to decipher them. We also have on Sunday, 12 p.m. on ABC 10, we're going to be having a segment on TV where we deliver workouts like this. Sorry, I don't know why it took me so long to get that out of my mouth. So in the future, you can tune in to follow workouts on ABC 10 on TV. So we'll kind of be doing this there too. So pass that along as well to anybody. But that is all for tonight. Thank you for joining me, and hopefully we'll see you again next week, guys.